Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our morning edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars live feed spoilers. This is day 18. We are on the other side of nominations now. The Power of Veto is coming up today. If you are a Janelle or Kaser fan, I think it's fair to say this is an important one.
Yeah, it's important, but it feels like we are probably losing one of them.
Yeah, this is not a time to be super optimistic about something crazy entering the game, though we'll talk about somebody with some threats if something does enter the game.
Yep.
In order to save them. But before we get into anything, including Nicole being upset about something said in the house, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And by the way, thank you guys so much who watched the live stream that Jess and I did last night.
The Nerds Night In! Thank you, everybody who stayed in with us.
Yeah, that was really fun, and I'm sure we'll certainly do it again. And if you guys do want to support us further, just check the links in the description to the store and also our Patreon, where we will have a live chat over there a week from tomorrow. It's always the last Sunday of every month.
Yeah, so actually while we were doing the live stream, the nominations came in.
Yeah.
It is Janelle and Kaser. Nobody is surprised. It still stinks. Yeah,
it's something they expected, we expected. I think every single person in the universe expected at this point. And you know, there's a case to be made that Tyler needs to keep big threats in the house as long as possible. But there's also a case of if Tyler didn't nominate them, his entire alliance would be suspicious about it, and that would probably be problematic for his game.
No, I think this is the right move for him. I mean, they said last week to Memphis that they know that there's this big alliance. Tyler knows that they're coming after them. He has to do something.
Yeah, and so it's inevitable that we would be in this spot. I mean, the only actual sort of paranoia, and I don't even know if this is big right now, is Davon sort of questioning why Enzo decided to save Christmas with the safety suite, because I'm sure Davon is probably like, you know, we're in an alliance together. Why couldn't something have happened for me?
Yeah, and I think that if Enzo had just sort of had that conversation with this alliance to be like, of course, I'm going to try to pick somebody who's not in the alliance. I think it's just, that was just a missed conversation that needed to happen. And I think she would have understood it a bit better of, I'm trying to pick somebody who is not in my alliance. So people aren't like, what? Why is he picking Davon? That's suspicious.
This is the thing about Big Brother, is that even though this is the most predictable week probably that we're ever going to have this entire season, and, you know, even if Janelle or Kaser gets off the block, the other one's probably going home, it doesn't stop people from being paranoid that all of a sudden they could be backdoored. It's like, yeah, on the outside, we're like, Davon, why would you even think for a second that you were going to be a replacement nominee this week? But I guess in the house, your brain is just like a pinball, just like bouncing around in all these directions, and you can't think of anything clearly.
Yeah, Davon has nothing to worry about this week. I just feel like if she just lays low, it'll be just fine. Like, there are bigger fish to fry right now. You're in a good spot.
Yeah, if there's a replacement nominee, guess what? It's probably just going to end up being Kevin.
Yeah.
The only crazy scenario here is Kevin wins veto. We don't even know who the veto players are yet. And then Kevin removes Janelle or Kaser for whatever reason.
Yeah, and even if he does, it'll still be the other person going home. The votes just aren't there for anything else to happen this week.
Yeah, and just emotionally, I think Janelle and Kaser are handling it just fine. They're grown-ups. They have been in this situation before. On the block. I mean, Kaser's a little bit bummed out and he misses his son, but everyone seems to go through that sort of thing like once a season.
Yeah, we just saw Danny go through it, missing her kid as well. So it happens. Of course it happens.
Yeah, and I think it's a weird sort of situation where you obviously are on Big Brother because you want to win the game and you want to get the money at the very end of it, but I think probably, especially for like the parents in the house, one of the worst case scenarios here is that you end up being evicted and you're like the first person on jury, and then you have to stay for the entire season away from your kid, and you know you're not winning at that point.
Yeah, that's gotta really stink. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, and I don't know if Kaser's gonna get far enough to make it to the jury, even if he stays this time around.
Yeah, it could be this week.
Okay, so I think the big thing that happened overnight, and I don't even know if this is that big, it's just that people, anytime there is drama involving Nicole, it always just ends up sort of like spiraling and spiraling and spiraling.
Yep.
It is related to Bayleigh and a comment that Bayleigh made towards her.
Well, there needs to be some more setup and sort of all of the context of this, because it seems that Danny, who is friends with Nicole, made a very similar comment sort of about Nicole and her showmances, and it's sort of leading her, you need the showmances to get to the end sort of thing. Then Bayleigh made a very similar comment where she basically said it took her a couple of tries and a couple of guys to win. Very similar comments, but they're coming from one person, Danny, who's her very close friend, and Bayleigh, who she doesn't know that well. So she took it differently, and I mean, I think a lot of us probably would, and I'm not here defending Nicole F, because I never really defend Nicole when she's crying about stuff, but I mean, it is a hard thing to hear. She has heard this over and over again. I've seen BB Twitter. It's not nice about that. And there, in general, is a lot of that if you're a woman and you're working with a guy, or you're working in a showman's with a guy, it's always, oh, well, the woman is riding his coattails to the end. And that's not always the case. Sometimes it's the case, but it's not always the case. But in this situation, I think it matters that Danny and Nicole are close, because it'd be like if my friend Jen was, ribbing on me about something. I've known her 20 years, so, if she wants to rib on me about something, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, ha ha ha, because I know her really well. Our relationship is deep enough that I know she's coming from a place of humor, or just, I know who she is, so I know where she's coming from. And because Nicole doesn't really know Bayleigh that well, she doesn't know where Bayleigh's coming from with that, so she started crying.
And it's a very weird situation all around here, because apparently Davon had to go and tell Bayleigh that this was happening and that Nicole was upset about it. And I think Bayleigh at first was surprised and a little bit confused, and I kind of get that too, because it's really hard to sort of play and understand social dynamics. And I say this as an extremely socially awkward person, where, if you're hearing or finding out that other people make similar jokes and you make a similar joke, you probably expect it's going to generate a similar reaction. And Bayleigh, someone who was in a showmance herself on Big Brother 20, yeah, Swaggy didn't exactly make it super far, but she was still in one, so she might think, okay, I can sort of relate to having a showmance within the game and saying something like that. And so I think she was just sort of confused, and now she's sort of questioning, okay, I don't know how to relate to someone who is as sensitive as Nicole is. I'm a have-not, I'm grumpy, do I need to just hide for the rest of the week?
Yeah, and it's interesting because she didn't know if she should go and apologize and try to smooth it over, which, yeah, she should go and apologize and try to smooth it over and sort of just explain that side of it, to be like, well, other people were joking. I thought that meant it was that you were okay with it because, you were okay in this situation. I didn't get that there's something else that's going on. You, Danny, are really close, whatever it is that, I didn't get. So, I'm sorry. Can we move on? I think if Bayleigh goes and does that pretty quickly, it'll be okay. They will be able to move forward with it. But the advice that was given to her was sort of like, yeah, you can kind of talk to her a little bit, but you don't really necessarily need to say I'm sorry or apologize or go that far, which I don't think is the right advice. Especially with Nicole F, who loves to cry and does use that as some gameplay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to sort of get to here, where we know kind of already that Danny and Nicole are in so many different alliances and are kind of mixed up in a lot of different things. And I think it could be gameplay in part on Nicole's just part to be emotional about this and be upset about something or claim that somebody made her mad, because she's already used this season to sort of work to demonize Janelle in the house a little bit. And Bayleigh's obviously not the next target, and thankfully she's not the next target. I don't want to lose Bayleigh this early on, but I think that she might be trying to set Bayleigh up for something down the road. And this is, you know, a part of why I don't always enjoy watching Nicole on the live feeds, and it doesn't have anything to do, well, it doesn't have anything to do with really showmances per se or anything from the past. It's just that she does play very much an emotional sort of pity me game at times, and that's just not really that fun.
No, it's not that fun, and I do hope that Bayleigh just goes and smooths it over, because Bayleigh has been playing a really great game, and I would hate that she becomes a target over something that was a joke that Nicole didn't take as a joke, and that could easily be fixed, and can be fixed so quickly if she just goes and says, I thought, and you know, everyone was kind of joking about, Danny was joking about, I thought that you were laughing about it, I thought this was okay, I totally messed up, it would be squashed.
I just want for Bayleigh her to be in a position where she can stick around long enough to win HOH at a key point and get rid of Nicole, because she knows that Nicole is a threat, and Bayleigh shouldn't be targeted for something that's just like a, you know, an attempt at a joke that she made that Nicole has managed to sort of slowly spin into something so much more with crying and being upset over it.
Okay, talking about people that are upset over stuff, let's talk about Cody. So,
oh boy.
Cody is worried or claiming that if a twist comes in to save Janelle and Kaser, that he's gonna quit.
Okay, this, it's kind of like Nicole crying sometimes is why I don't like watching Nicole. Cody and his bluster, like Cody and Derek used to do this all the time, where they would be like puff out their chests a lot and say all these like, if this happens, I'm gonna be so mad, I'm gonna storm this place. And it's like they're all talk in a lot of this situation. I think Cody would huff and puff and complain, but Cody's not gonna quit the game if there's some sort of twist. This is Big Brother. There's always some sort of twist that's unfair to whatever. Big Brother's not fair, let's be clear.
Listen, if Cody quits, I don't want to ever see him on this show again. I'm not interested in seeing people who are gonna come on any reality shows and then just quit. Like, you've taken a spot from someone else that really wanted to be there, that wanted to play. The only circumstances I'm okay with something like that is if just for your own mental health,
yeah,
this is not working out and you need to get out of there, that's okay.
Yeah.
Being upset because a twist comes in on a show that's like piled with twists and you're gonna quit?
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, it's already a situation where it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Janelle and Kaser got to play last in the last HOH, which clearly was an advantage because you could see how other people are doing. That's fine, but you guys have to know Janelle and Kaser are popular. I don't think there's going to be a twist that saves them this week.
No, they already have a twist in play right now, and it is the safety suite. That is in play this week. It just played yesterday. That is the twist. I don't think that there's another twist that's going to come. They're going to probably have it for next week.
Yeah, next week I would not be surprised if Julie came on and said, there's a new twist. If your name starts with a K and ends with Acer, congratulations, you are the new head of household. Like, that could happen.
That could happen.
But I don't think anything else is going to happen here. But Cody's, puffing and puffing and doing all that sort of stuff. And I know as we get to the end of this video that people are really chomping at the bit to know what Christmas's punishment is.
Yeah, and she seems to be as well. Hasn't come yet.
No, it hasn't come yet. It's probably going to happen with the veto, which it's not as hot out here in Southern California today. I'm hoping that means it's not going to happen at like 1 a.m. again.
It's not as hot, but it is still 34 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I'm still Canadian living in America.
It's hot. That's
it's
what
hot.
we need to know. It is still hot outside. So we'll kind of keep our eyes peeled on a lot of that. Veto players should be chosen at some point, either later this morning, early afternoon.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting
Yeah.
to know who actually ends up getting picked for this.
It is.
Because as you mentioned, if Kevin wins, Kevin may pull something where he pulls somebody off the block.
And if you're
It's in his best interest. Kevin, pull somebody off the block.
There's some crazy to. I'm also just curious if somebody like Janelle or Gaser gets house guest choice. Like, who do they pick? Like,
None of that's great.
Yeah, this is going to be fun to kind of look at a lot of these dynamics, but we'll be back to discuss that. But for now, what do you think about the Nicole Bayleigh situation, Cody's threats, and everything else today in the Big Brother house? Share in the comments, and if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, support us further, check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.